Good morning. Welcome to what we sort of class as week 3 of the Bordeaux Unpicked 2023 campaign. And this is our Bordeaux Unpicked podcast with myself, Joe Muller.
And myself, Aaran Eccles, this week.
Lovely to see you.
Oh yeah, it was good to see you too. After a nice morning of chit chat and discussion on Bordeaux releases. Unfortunately, we wanted to get someone from the A team on today, but such is the life of the A team that they are already in Jura.
Straddling the Jura, Bourgogne borders, quite nicely. But they're having a nice couple of days out there, so I'm sure they'll make an appearance in a week to come.
They will grace our presence at some point.
Yeah, so I think we should probably kick straight into it because it has been a very busy week this week. We've sort of had 3 major days already with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to sort of unpick each day, where Aaron and I, and the Monday very quickly was a sort of the Cheval Blanc day, if you like. Our offer was titled The Main Event. On Tuesday, we saw Haute Stuff with Clarence Dillon's stable coming out. And you'll love you've got to love our plans. And then Wednesdays was Merci Bukayu with Ducru Bukayu taking centre stage. So we'll talk about those. Obviously, the other wines that have come out amongst those sort of 3 stable of wines, which are sort of taking centre stage in the limelight. And we'll basically start with the Monday, I think. So Cheval Blanc started the week. As you'll recall, at the end of the podcast last week, we talked about the upcoming Cheval release. They came out at a price just £20 over our suggested recommended buy price.
Yeah, 1,170 for 3 bottles. Whilst it was just outside our recommended buy price, I can still wholeheartedly get behind it. And I can see why it's at that price. Everyone who tasted it this year, saw various people whilst we were out in Bordeaux, everyone asking, have you tasted Cheval Blanc? It is awesome. So great year for them. A bit of a winner there.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's, we scored the wine. We loved the wine at CMB. It was one of our highest scorers at 18.5 to 19. So from a qualitative point of view, we couldn't be bigger advocates. Pierre-Olivier Clouet has been doing magical stuff since his sort of rise within Cheval Blanc and overseeing the project there. It's going from strength to strength. I agree with the price. So we've had a lot of success. We had a lot of demand. We were oversubscribed on pre-orders. So we went back to our customers who pre-ordered it, obviously, just to say, look, this doesn't fall exactly within the price bracket, but would you like to continue with the purchase? And it's been an overwhelming, consistent yes for on the whole, which is lovely to see. In terms of the price itself, it's done what a few of the other wines have pattern-wise. It's come out and it's below all the sort of the recent back vintages, bar possibly 21. But in this case is, and then it's below everything until the 11 to 14 block. And I think that's fine. And I think it's important. You'll hear us talk about the 11 to 14 block mentioned a little bit more because they tend to be the vintages where some chateau, actually not some, the majority are coming out. They're above those prices. So you can buy 11, 13, 14 cheaper. However, on paper, they are lesser vintages.
Yeah, I think really important just to sort of reiterate that. There was always a lot of discussion of 2023 isn't a 5-star vintage, but at the same time, it's not in the same class as 11, 12, 13, or even 14. 14 produce some very good wines, but I still feel like the 14s have a little bit of hard edges with the tannins, whereas the 2023s, the fruit on them is what sets them apart. They are absolutely delicious and will age really well as well.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we've spoken a lot about the brilliance of 23's balance. If they get it right structurally, they are incredibly good wines. Also on that day, we had the Bartons come out, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of the Barton wines. Langoa always offers sort of great drinking consistency, and Layerville as well. We've discussed this quite a lot. I think that Layerville Barton is the wine that if you want to lay something down for 20 years at a reasonable price, 336 for 6, then that's the wine to go for. And just in the past few years, there's new winery constructed. They can pick parcel by parcel, ferment parcel by parcel, and it just means that although Langora and Layerville have been on an absolute roll recently and a great wines, I think that the quality level has just gone up that little bit more again, which just means firm recommendation, great wines, buy them, drink them.
Yeah, and then finally on Monday we saw a little nod to Margaux as well, with in the form of Kerwan and Roson Gassi. So for me, there's one winner between now, and that's Kerwan. £174 for 6 versus Roson Gassi's £227 per 6. Yes, okay. Arguably, you could say you've got Kerwan's a third growth, Roson Gassi is a second growth. However, in this vintage, for me, and I was looking back at my tasting notes, and us as a team, we preferred Kerwan as a score and scored it 17 to 17.5. It's a really good value buy. £29 a bottle in Bond, or whatever that works out pretty much. Is excellent, and it's a Margaux with some real lovely showing of finesse in this vintage, lovely freshness. The fruit profile is what was there, because if you recall, we've talked about so many wines in 23 perhaps sacrificed the stuffing for structure. Definitely wasn't the case in Kerwan. I think you probably felt that more in Roson Gassi, if I'm honest. So a little sort of mention there, a little spotlight focus for Kerwan, for those who are a fan of the domain. I think then on to Tuesday, that was all about the Clarence Dillon stable. So there's a plethora of wines here. Obviously, Haut-Brion and La Mission Haut-Brion take the centre stage as always. They're the grand fans of the Clarence Dillon estates. The second wines come into play, and you've actually got a third wine in Clarté, and you've got the whites, the second whites as well. So, would you like to comment on the pricing to begin with?
Yeah, Haut-Brion and La Mission Haut-Brion have been sort of chopping and changing in recent years on their pricing. This year it was Haut-Brion that came out at $945 for 3, and is there any other time when I can say that this is a no-brainer to buy a first growth? I just think you're able to buy a first growth Bordeaux for £315 in Bond. It will age gracefully. It is a delicious wine. I'm truly happy with it. The whites, a little bit more expensive. There just wasn't that much of them, but they were fantastic. But yeah, out of everything, that is why just picking out Haut-Brion straight away and saying that's the one.
Yeah, I think it's very fair to say Haut-Brion itself stole the show on the release. La Mission. With Haut-Brion, you can find 11, 13, 14, a touch cheaper, just a touch. We're talking £30, £40 a 3-pack, where everything else is more expensive. So it really leapt out to us because of the quality of the wine. We were very fond of it. La Mission sort of followed pattern, but you can throw the 17 in there as well if you're looking older vintages on what's available, slightly less. But yeah, the move from Haut-Brion was clear to sort of show, we're giving some ground here towards Haut-Brion versus La Mis. On the whites, I do think we want to give a shout out again. It sort of followed suit. Haut-Brion Blanc, it's the cheapest vintage available in the market. So those people who were avid fans who have bought it from us, and we don't get much, unfortunately, I wish we did, who have bought it year in, year out and put a pre-order in, were delighted because it came within our price range, and it's the lowest price vintage there. La Mission, unfortunately, not the case. There is a little bit, and by a little bit, unfortunately, some good vintages in 19, 18 and 50, which you can sort of pick up cheaper than what the 23 La Mission Blancs come out at. I think also, finally, just to mention that the second wines, you've got Clarence Haut-Brion for Haut-Brion's second wine, and La Chapelle de la Mission Haut-Brion, and La Chapelle really is the one to focus on there. It's a pretty good price actually versus what Clarence was coming out at. It is what it is. You can't have them all winners, as we've known. We haven't had that for a very long time with a campaign, but all in all, commendable from Clarence Dillon.
Nice. And then Tuesday really ratcheted up in the afternoon. I sent out my my email of post-lunch barge. So yeah, lunch barge came out $4.20 for a 6. Again, this is quite interesting because just from a just like a sad tale of a wine merchant. I think we've mentioned before that we both got taxis on the Monday morning when we flew out to Bordeaux at about 2:30 in the morning. We were quite tired. Landed into Bordeaux at 8 o'clock. Drove straight up to Calon-Segur where we tasted, and the wines were excellent. And then we went to Lynch-Barge, and we were so happy with the wines. There was excitement, after you've sort of discussed what the vintage might be like, and at that point we weren't too sure what to expect. And then to find this Lynch-Barge that had sort of pure black fruit, loads of energy coming through, fine tannins, and you're just like, wow, if the price works on this, then this is a winner. And it was.
Yeah, absolutely. We scored it highly. Our scores reflected that, the quality which we found in the wine. And I agree, winner chicken dinner. This was 420 a 6. So this came in, and seriously, it's not doff the cap, it's take the cap off to JC, because that's, again, the lowest price you can find of Lynch-Barge in the market. And if there's no better selling price, we summed it up in our release email, which was, this is one of those wines which you'll look back on in the future and say, what a bargain. I wish I'd bought another case. And I think people took that on board because we've done well. The response has been strong, and rightly so. We still have a little bit that we can play with. So if you're listening to this and you haven't picked up any Lynch, this is one that we recommend definitely buy from this vintage and get behind. And that was a lovely way to spend Tuesday. It obviously meant a busy Wednesday morning, which then followed with a new release. By this time, the week had got a bit too long for our Mark Ditcham. It's his usual sort of cut-off time.
Yeah, it's usually around Tuesday when he starts to mention that it's been a long week. I really did enjoy that on Wednesday morning. He quite pointedly on the phone to a nego said, "It's been a very long week. I wish the sales team would start selling something rather than talking about football." So that he's getting quite tetchy by this point. So clearly a busy week for him. He's doing really well.
Yeah, I mean, and exactly. The conversations were flowing by this point with customers, because we had a lot of toys to play with. And Wednesday saw the addition of another, Ducru Bucayo. And it came out at £744 a 6. Again, it sort of played into where Cheval and these other wines have come in. This was below, I should add, below our recommended retail price. Our recommended buying price. So it came in strongly. The pre-orders, people who ordered were very happy with that. And we've obviously got some extra stock to play with, which we're sort of sending out and selling to other customers. At that price, again, the 11 to 14 block, you can pick up slightly less, but it's irrelevant. It's the wine is on a different level with different style and direction now.
Yeah, a wine that we scored really highly. To be able to pick up Ducru Bucayo at this price is fantastic. And out of all of the Saint Julians that we tasted, we've discussed this a little bit, that we think sort of Ducru and Léoville Las Casas are sort of really top in that appellation at the moment. And I've been looking out for Branagh de Cru when it's released as well, because I really enjoyed that this year. But when this is a nice thing about a campaign, when a very good wine comes out at a very good price and means that it works. Just a really good buy.
Yeah, on that note, it's what's well, before I go on to that, this morning, we're on Thursday, 16th of May, as we always record on a Thursday. And early out, we've had Dissan has come out, slightly above our recommended buy price, which is a bit of a shame because we did like the wine. Malasco came out yesterday, similar sort of overall rating from us, and actually fell into a better bracket price-wise. And then we've had Pape Clément this morning. What's your initial reaction to Pape Clément?
The wines have never been overly priced, so there hasn't been swings since sort of the 2019, like we've seen with others, where the 2022s went up to a really high price and then there's been a come down. So it doesn't look on paper like it's that much of a reduction, but that is because team at Pape Clément have sort of really released it sort of quite quite good prices. For me, this is just a personal thing. I'm waiting for Domaine de Chevalier next week.
Okay.
Those would be the reds and whites I'd buy.
Okay, so I've got a follow-on question from that. Just to add, look, with Pape Clement, the red has come out at 354 as 6. Our recommended buy price was 280 to 310. So, and that's that research is done on the behavioural patterns previously, what they've released at, and the current market's values of other stocks. So, I can't help but draw my conclusions. That's one really to not really get involved on the red. The white is only slightly above, and this is a white vintage in terms of not disregarding the red, but the whites are actually a strong representation of quality here. There's a real keen freshness. There's energy that's within the wines, and there's zip and some focus. And I think if you're a white Bordeaux fan, you're looking to expand the cellar past, our beloved white Burgundies, then this is one you could potentially consider. On your note, then, what are you looking forward to? We're sort of week 3 in. We've got next week, which we'll come on to very shortly. There's going to be a break probably for Vinexpo, and then the beginning of June, I think we'll have a very intense sort of 5 to 8 working days where things are going to come out. What are you looking forward to at the moment on the horizon?
From next week, we're going to get into the right banks, which is going to be really good fun. Muick stable on Monday. I am really excited about Le Fleur, Petrus, and also Bourgeneuf. I thought Bourgeneuf this year was absolutely excellent. And then Tuesday, Domaine de Chevalier and Bechevel. The two things, the 3 wines that we haven't seen scheduled yet that I am waiting for are the Pichons, Baron and Lalonde, and Brunet de Cru. I've not seen them yet.
Okay.
And you?
Moex, this is a bit tedious, but maybe it's a reflection of the time we spent together in Bordeaux, Aaron. But Bourgeneuf, I loved. It's a baby Trotanoir. This is positioned just next door, and sometimes they get it right, and sometimes I feel they get it a little bit wrong. But in 23, it's almost a bullseye. I loved the structure. It's a sleeper for the vintage. Like, this was one that you need to sort of lay down, but you can see the potential there. Le Fleur Petrus, I've been banging on since on this podcast and in the office. My note always refers to the Argentine tango here. There's a real masculine and feminine quality to the dance that the wine unfurls. But I think you've got to shout out Latour Pomerol and Belair Monange, also very excited about on the Moex front. Just on the left bank side, we had this discussion. I'm a big Gruard La Rose fan, and I thought Gruard 23 I scored it 17.5 to 18 on 2 tastings. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come out with price-wise. We were just discussing, it's interesting, Bechevel hasn't come out yet. They're normally quite early doors in the campaign. And it goes without saying, Pichon Lalonde, Montrose, very keen to see how they are. There are whisperings of Liévaux Poiffret and what they're going to do with price. We are hearing that there might be quite interesting, even further discounts than some of their peers. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I quite like that you mentioned Gruard La Rose there. We had this completely shows that we do not always agree. I absolutely love Brunet de Cru. You absolutely love Gruard La Rose this year. It's good to have differing opinions. It is not the case that we taste with each other and then nod along. Oh, very good job, very good job. We do have some differences in opinion there, but I think really excited about sort of Bourgeneuf and Le Fleur Petrus.
Cool. So final closing question, and this is was actually your question originally, but this week from the releases, if you had to pick one wine to buy to sort of drink earlier, approach earlier, pull the cork sooner, and one to lay down, what would you go for?
I was supposed to ask you this question. I think that my one to lay down is definitely Lynch Barge, and that's a tough choice between Lynch Barge and De Cru Beaucaillou, based mainly on the pricing. So lay down Lynch Barge and drink. I'm going Langoa Barton. It was a toss up between that and something that we haven't yet mentioned this week, Grand Puy de Casse, which I think was just very good. Very good. However, Langoa Barton, I thought was great. And you?
Yeah, good choices. I mean, Lynch definitely is one not to miss. I get that. I think I'm going to go sort of almost slightly polar opposites in terms of the price reflects it, but I mentioned it earlier. I think Kerwan would be one that I would be looking to buy to enjoy drinking almost 5-6 years down the line. I think it will start showing, and to give you a bit of reference as well. And this isn't meant to be a slur on La Croix de Ducru Bocayo. You can buy Kerwan cheaper than you can buy the second wine of Ducru. It's a third growth, so for me, it's a lovely little purchase that will reward you handsomely. And for laying down longer term, I can't. Can I look past Cheval? I can't. We just absolutely adored it as a wine. It's going to be a brilliant Cheval Blanc in years to come. So I think that's the one I'd stick firmly far down into the cellar.
There you go. So the associate director's drinking Cheval Blanc, and the dog's body in the trenches is drinking Lynch Barge. There we go. Good stuff.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so on that note, we will be back next week. We think tomorrow will probably be a little bit quiet. They tend to be. However, we were just discussing that. We haven't had any surprise releases yet, which I think I wouldn't put it past them if with a certain producer of stature came out unknown next week, but we shall see. Cos d'Estournel is certainly on the cards, amongst a few others, Pavie, etc. But yeah, we look forward to hopefully some more successful prices, and we'll be back in touch.
Cheers. Have a good week.
Take care.